Welcome to Creative Minds, where I sit down with people who know a lot more than I do about the world of filmmaking in order to get answers to questions from both me and you. Today we're talking to Darren Mostyn, who's got one of the fastest growing Davinci Resolve YouTube channels that I've ever seen. He's also a professional colorist with big name clients like Amazon and BBC and a whole bunch of others. So I was really fortunate to be able to sit down, talk to him about how he got started, and even get some advice for getting into the world of professional color grading. Now, this is normally the part in the episode where I would tell people that what they're about to see is just a small portion of what ended up being an over an hour-long conversation. But you guys are already channel members, so you actually are about to watch the uncut interview. And I just wanted to take this moment to thank you so much for being channel members and supporting the channel. You guys are absolutely amazing, and your support means more to me than you could possibly imagine. So with that being said, thank you for your support and enjoy the episode. All right, let's start at the beginning. You're a professional colorist, and I know you've been in the game for a while, but I don't really know the specifics of how that came to be. I don't even know like how one would just like fall. Did you just fall into that? Like, what was this, like an intentional thing? What's the story?
Yes, sort of. I don't think I took a logical route. It was. It's got a fair bit to do with my age, actually, probably more than anything. I started, well, okay, take you right, so I'm 53, so I've been in the business a few decades now, so probably 28 odd years, I think, as in sort of professional broadcast industry. But went to, I studied photography at art college, so I've always had a passion for images and that sort of thing. But this is pre-Photoshop, this is proper linear photography, so we're talking, dark rooms and chemicals. And so I worked in a college in a media department, so doing lots of analog tape-to-tape editing, that sort of thing. So, everything pre-digital. And then I got introduced to a company called Fast, who were based a Munich-based company, but they had a London office. And they were at the very forefront of non-linear editing technology. So they were... I went to a show that they were doing, and they literally were playing video off a computer. And this was, I know we're both sort of in the YouTube generation now, where it seems ridiculous that this never happened, but there was a time before internet and all this sort of stuff. And playing video off a computer was just seen as, this was witchcraft. It was, people are literally looking around the back of the computer, seeing what's going on. It was pretty out there. And for it to play back, smooth as well. Right. So this is the dawn of Avid coming along and these sort of people. And they took me on. So I ended up working for them in London and had 5 or 6 years with them, which was a fantastic opportunity to be right at the forefront of digital editing. To the point where, the internet was literally a few hundred pages. There wasn't a lot going on the internet. Right. So the point where my nickname still is to my friends who I know from that era was Email Boy. So they're like, why do you need an email? What are you on about? So I do go back a fair way, but this was a really important part of my career path because those people that I met in the industry at that time have gone on to work for the bigger companies, Avids and Grass Valleys and people like that. Avid, in fact, bought the company that I worked for in London. Oh, wow. So I was really at the start, and I was an editor at this point. So I came from analog editing background. And they took me under their wing because they needed editors, not computer engineers. Right. So that was kind of my role there. And after a few years, I decided to go freelance. So I set up Online Creative, which is where I am today. So this is now, it's grown a little bit. It's now a boutique post facility. But at the time, it was just an umbrella name for Darren Mostyn, effectively. Right. And I was very lucky, got picked up to do the ATP, the tennis tour, the world tour. So I did the whole... editing highlights packages for the whole tour. So literally flying around the world. We would literally 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. But this was the world's first ever Avid Unity broadcast system. So the point where we actually had an Avid engineer with us, everyone was like, let's hope this works because this is broadcast, and lives are at risk, basically. Yeah. It's broadcast. It's more important than life and death.
It always feels that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But Do you know, it really worked. It was a fantastic opportunity, and that got me into the world of sport editing highlights. So I was getting quicker and quicker on these NLEs, built it all up, and fast forward a few years, I was doing Wimbledon. I did a bit of stuff for ABC and Turner for the Americans, doing the old night shift at Wimbledon. I did 2 World Cups. I went to Germany for 6 weeks. I went to Japan for 6 weeks, which was amazing, doing on-the-road highlights following the FIFA World Cup. And that led me to get introduced to a company called Digital Vision, who did a product called Freelacers. Sorry, backtrack a little bit from that. The technology was getting faster and faster and faster and better, and Avid introduced a product called Symphony, which allowed us to do pretty high-end color grading, pretty decent color grading, albeit in the field, so we're on laptops or even regular computers. We're not in a color-controlled environment, but it meant we could make these highlight packages look a little bit, just a little bit cooler. A little bit edgier, and which works really nice with sport, So we were then expected to do a bit of color treatment, and we could because the computers were fast enough to allow us to do a little bit of that. Highlights is obviously super quick turnaround stuff. And so I was really getting into this world of symphony color grading, adding sapphire effects, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. It felt to me like getting back to my sort of photography roots,
Right.
So I always loved editing, but I was getting into this. And then I got approached by a company called Digital Vision, who made a product called Filmmaster, which was a very top high-end film grading color system. You're talking, I don't know what the price was, but let's argue it's $200,000 for a system. It was that sort of money, $300,000. So it was a big boy system, and they trained me up how to use it, which was amazing opportunity. It didn't cost me anything. They trained me and said, we want you to basically go, globally and go and teach colorists how to use our products. They liked the fact I could teach a bit. So I had a little bit, I was doing a bit of training with the company in London. I was training people how to use digital editing and that sort of thing. So on that route, I started meeting international colorists and gained experience from them. So I'm teaching them how to use this product, but in the meanwhile, I'm picking up like a sponge all this color grading information that they give me, and I'm learning workflows and just how they approach literally how they approach a shot and start grading. So this was a really great opportunity for me. And my big broadcast break then came. I was still doing editing, bit of onlining, and I got introduced to while Filmmaster was out, Apple Color was coming in the background. So obviously been working on Apple Macs for years, and started dabbling with color because this was affordable. I couldn't afford a $200,000-300,000 Digital Vision system, whereas Apple Color was a few dollars. So I started grading and messing around with that. Did a BBC job for a really good director friend of mine who I still work with today, and I was the editor on that. So I did about an 6 to 8 week edit for a documentary, and I did a grade on it. And we booked in to go to Soho, which is obviously the height of post is RLA in London. Went to a top Soho facility, top leading colorist who's still very well known today. And we did the grade on this documentary that I'd edited. And the director at the end of it actually turned around to me and said, I actually prefer your grade. Which was, So they have decided that my grade's better. I can't remember which one they actually went for the broadcast, but I then got all his color grading work. So I've now got BBC as a client. And it went off from there, really. And then I'm still answering the same question, I think. But then this is my. But we're getting nearer to me now. And then I got. I knew the guys from Davinci Resolve. From Blackmagic up in Manchester. Stu and Si, who set up the sort of UK Blackmagic headquarters and Europe, Middle East, Africa. And they're good friends of mine from this original company. So this all stems back to that lucky break that I got in London with this company. And they said, we've just bought Davinci Resolve systems. We've made it into a Blackmagic product. Do you want to come and have a look at it? So I went up to Manchester, had a look at it, and got shown around it. Blake Jones showed me around it. You might know Blake. He's got a YouTube channel as well. He's a well-known colorist. And he showed me around the system, and it was a little bit clunky. It wasn't what Digital Vision had. It wasn't what Apple Color was doing. But it had really good potential. So I said, I'm going to keep an eye on it. I'm not going to use it just yet. And then another BBC job came up about 6 months later, and I had a little bit of leeway to work on this. So finally actually got a picture lock on something not while I'm still grading it, which is what happens now pretty much.
Right.
So there's actually picture lock with a few days leeway.
Yeah.
So I said, look, I'll do this on this Resolve system. They're on the next version up, so it's version 7. And so Blackmagic kindly said, look, we'll give you support for the weekend. I said, I'll go in at the weekend. If it's looking good, I'll finish it on this. If not, I can start again on Apple Color on Monday, and we'll get the job done on time. And so I worked on it all weekend, and I wouldn't say it worked a treat. It worked really well. And I think I even questioned and said, has anyone actually done a 1-hour doc on this? And they said, we actually think you might be the first person who's doing this. So I was like, okay, let's just do it. And it worked, and it went out. And I've been on Davinci Resolve ever since. And then my colorist career has just literally progressed, still under the online creative umbrella, and progressed into all this garbage that you see behind me now.
Right.
It's just slowly built up over the years, and that early break was a good one for me. And then my name just got around, and so I am literally full-time color grading now. I don't really edit that much.
Nice. So then, does your company only handle color grading, or do you? Because I know you've mentioned that it's a post-production house. So do you actually do other stuff too?
So we're very small facilities, 3 rooms. So I've got the main grading suite, which is where I'm sat now, and then downstairs we've got a edit suite, which is a dry hire edit suite. So there's Avid, Premiere, and DaVinci Resolve in there. And I've got a production office as well down there, because we do a bit of production work as well. We also do VFX and animation. We do corporate production stuff as well. But we've got some one key client now, really, because this client is so big that we literally focus on that client. But we have over the years, we worked with Mercedes-Benz and Sony and people like that. So nice high-end stuff.
Nice.
But I generally collaborate with freelancers. So there's enough room down here. We've had 12 in here at one point, not in this room, but in across the 3 rooms, and it's enough for me. It's nice and manageable. I can shrink it, grow it as I like. We collab with a really good flame artist who just happens to be in Brighton.
Nice.
And he worked on Mission Impossible. I mean, he's a top VFX artist, so it's great. He's literally down the road. So we can kind of keep it all in house. We don't do audio dub. It's our main area. That would mean a full kit out.
That's a lot. Audio's a lot.
We partner with other companies. You're very up on your audio. It's it works for me. So we're pretty much picture post. But we can do the deliverables as well. So we deliver to Channel 4, ITV. We've just done Channel 5 stuff. It's we can handle all the picture.
Nice. Yeah, you just had a documentary release last week?
Yeah, I've just had a few gone out. Actually, it's been we've been really busy. Last year was my busiest year ever, so we've got quite a lot going out at the minute.
Nice.
We did 2 90-minute docs were out last week on Channel 5. They got really good viewing figures.
Awesome.
So it was a big rated one. It got a big push. So that was nice to see that go out. That was, when you've worked on it for, and and I know the director very well. He's actually one of my best friends. So it's nice to see his work, his passion project go out and get good ratings. So yeah.
Nice. Now, do you prefer to work with freelancers, or would you like to have full-time employees? Or?
Well, I have had full-time employees, so I've had assistants. I've had 2 assistants here before, which are useful. They've sort of moved on and done other things. One of them he's still got keys to the office. So if I do take a vacation, he can. And someone needs to get into the studio. In fact, there's probably more people got keys to my office in Brighton than I know what to do with. I should get some of them back, actually. But I have got someone that I can rely on to come in and just sort of help out a little bit. But really, because the nature of the work we do, each job can be quite different. The freelance route works for me. There's, for After Effects artists in Brighton, there's more than there are taxi drivers. I mean, I'm in a good creative city. There's plenty of good talent here.
Awesome. So. You mentioned that you have BBC as a client, and you've done the Channel 5 thing and all that stuff, and you've worked with apparently some pretty big name brands. Are there any that are, more memorable than others that you're allowed to talk about? I know just in our private conversations, I know you've mentioned, I think Amazon, and did you mention Netflix once to me? I can't remember.
I can actually talk about the Amazon one as of about an hour ago, I think. Now, not officially, but only because the director's just posted on Instagram a trailer for it. So
there we go.
I'm going to stick my neck out and, and let you in. So you might have to cut this bit if he doesn't.
If not, we've got a Jay Lippman exclusive.
What do you want to do? Do you want me to take the risk that you might have to cut it out, or do you want me to tell you about it?
Yeah, go ahead. Tell me about it.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Well, actually, let me just, before I give you that one, other clients, obviously we do a lot of stuff. Yeah, we do a lot of regular broadcast, ITV, BBC, Channel 4, Sky, Channel 5. That's kind of it. I wouldn't say it's our bread and butter stuff, but we do a lot of it. So, I'm quite known for documentary work. But last year, picked up Amazon Music as a client. And
nice.
done a lot of music videos last year, which is great for me because I'm a failed rock star more than I'm a colorist.
You're in good company.
Yeah, I tried. I went down that whole road, and I think at about 28, 29, I thought this is not going to work, much as I'd love it to. So I actually questioned myself. Am I a colorist just so I can listen to music in the studio all day, or do I actually enjoy the color grading more?
It is a perk.
It's definitely a perk of the job. I mean, yeah, music is my absolute passion. So to pick up Amazon Music was fantastic for me, and I got some really nice gigs. I did Royal Blood, The Streets, Rag and Bone Man. These are nice big gigs, and these are getting lots of views. So that was great for me. But I think one of my all-time highs was working with Shane Meadows, who's one of my hero directors.
Right.
Huge guy a huge name to work with. And he called me up. I'd worked with him a little bit on some test shots that we did. And he called me back and said, do you want to come and work on Liam Gallagher's new video? This is a few years ago. So I'm like,
wow.
Right. The Manchester scene music is just, that's my scene as well. So I'm like, this is amazing. So went up to him. He's very experimental in how he works. So this came back. I didn't go to the shoot, unfortunately, but it came back. It was filmed at a gig, and obviously a set gig. And he'd filmed on 8 different camera formats, including iPhone. And I can assure you it wasn't an iPhone 13. It was, we're going back a few years, which was in a little mirror box thing. And he wanted, and all these, a few experimental formats. And then we found out he wanted the whole promo to be in black and white.
Oh, God.
So obviously then you're exposing all the artifacts and all the codec things, and there was blue neons in the club, and it was a hard one. It was a really interesting and very creative one. But that was a real highlight for me. Working with someone like Shane Meadows on a Liam Gallagher video was fantastic. I mean. And the other highlight, obviously, I do a bit of training, I do consultancy and that sort of thing. So I've been very lucky with my work, not only traveling with the sport editing that I used to do, where I've literally seen the whole world, but I have been to every continent. And I've done training in places like China, Russia, Tasmania. Who goes to Tasmania? But it's the absolute opposite side of the world for me. So that was a great trip.
The only thing I know about Tasmania is the Tasmanian devil. Like that.
Yeah.
That's the extent of my knowledge.
Yeah. I met a few of them, and not the creatures.
Right.
That was a fantastic trip. That really was. Just seeing Middle East. I've been to some fantastic places. So they're also career highlights. I love traveling. I love music. But the one that I haven't had official that I can talk about it, but this has been a big project been going on here for about 6, 7, 8 months even. And Amazon Prime are doing a music documentary about the band Biffy Clyro, who, I don't know if you know Biffy Clyro, but they're
I do.
Huge hit. I mean, they're a big stadium tour size band. I wasn't, they weren't really on my radar before I did this, but I'm absolutely into them. I've been listening to them for 6, 7 months, but so that was all done here in the edit suites here. But I did get the grade for that, which was fantastic, and the guys really let me. They wanted it looking absolutely perfect, so we got a good amount of time on it, and it looks cracking. So that's out on Amazon Prime. I don't have a release date for it. I would imagine it's imminent. The trailers have just gone out on Instagram today.
Nice.
So hopefully I've not blown my what do you call it, NDA.
Well, I won't publish until you. Oh, hello, phone.
It's my daughter. Hi, Lulu. I'm just being interviewed live on YouTube. I'll catch you later. All right, bye. Bound to happen.
Yeah, that happens. But yeah, I won't release this until I hear from you that you're that I have to cut it or I can keep it.
Okay, it'll be good. It'll be good. I'll take it.
Hopefully I can keep it because we'll have our very first Jay Littman exclusive.
Perfect. Okay. Well, yeah. Well, you could keep it an exclusive bit then, if not. But, or I could do you a new ending if you like. So yeah, and then I get to travel the world, and it's fantastic. Next question.
No,
you can edit that in.
There we go. We'll get it. We'll keep it just like that. So yeah, you're actually a Davinci Resolve master trainer, which is pretty cool. Which, you know, I've seen some of the YouTube tutorials done by master trainers, but I know you've also traveled around and actually taught people. How does that happen? Is there like I mean, I assume you need the Davinci Resolve certifications, which I mean you should get anyway, but like, is there additional classes that you can opt into, or do you kind of get headhunted? Like, do they ask you to become a trainer, or?
Okay, yeah. I mean, they did ask me, but we're going back quite a few years now. So this is before the program's now huge, so it has really developed. But before, they didn't really have an official sort of program. And once they did, they just asked me to go along and, you know, obviously get certified. I think it was kind of just checking how the program was written. They wanted a little bit of feedback from me. The courses are written really well. They're really well done. You take a multiple choice exam at the end of it. You have to score more than 85% to pass. Right. And yeah, they're good. Yeah, but they did invite me. I mean, I've done the T3 courses, which is the train the trainers. So it's the higher level that you can do. But I kind of wanted to do it. I mean, I don't get paid to do them. It does take time, so effectively it's costing me. Right. I don't think it's doing me any harm. I think I do offer Davinci Resolve training. I think it's nice to be able to do their classroom training. They also teach you how to use the materials and, you know, why those clips are there. This clip is exposing for HDR. This clip is, you know, this is a good clip to do for tracking. Right. I kind of have my own technique when I'm training, but I can teach the official course if that allows. Okay. Yeah, it's good to support them if they want me to do the courses. I will. You have to keep recertifying every version. Mm-hmm. Which has been a few versions for me. I've been to, so. Yeah, there's no skipping. Even I have to do the certification. Yeah, I've been using it since version 7, so I've been on it 13 years or whatever that is. Oh wow.
Yeah, I didn't do the 15 certification. I did the 16 certification in, I think, everything but Fusion. And
so I'm actually certified in Fusion. Okay. If you want to see my knowledge in Fusion, it's not amazing, but. I took the test as quick as I could after it while it was all still here. Right. Managed to fluke a pass in that. So
yeah, I'm getting better at Fusion, but it's a long and grueling process.
Yeah. For sure. I think that they've done a good job, and their online tutorials they're excellent. You know, I mean, Daria and Chris Roberts and Simon Hall, Catherine, all that team. Yeah, they've done a fantastic job of putting all that together. It just there's a lot of it. Yeah, but it's good, solid information, you know.
Yeah, no, 100%. I want to go back to. Actually, we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's talk about your YouTube channel real quick, because right around when the pandemic hit, you started. That's when you just suddenly appeared on YouTube.
What do you know?
And right, I think the first time I heard about you, you just appeared in my live stream one day, and then I checked you out, and I was like, really? Oh wow, yeah, and then
he's brilliant at live streaming, isn't he? It's probably I taught you everything you know, Jay. I'm sure.
There you go. No, I mean, I checked out your channel right after, and I was kind of blown away. I was like, wow, this guy actually, like, he really, really knows what he's talking about. But
I'll try.
Could you talk about a little bit about what made you decide to start a YouTube channel in the first place? I mean, timing wise, I'm assuming it has something to do with the pandemic.
It absolutely does. Yeah. I mean, we literally, we went to lockdown 1 and work stopped here. I mean, there was no filming going on. It just literally fell off the end of the world. I was doing nothing. So I had 3 months chilling with my family. I live back in Brighton again now, but we lived in the countryside about 5-6 miles away from here on the South Downs. It's beautiful. We're just chilling out with the dog, and I was like, actually, I'm really not earning much money here. This is not going too well. So I didn't start YouTube to earn money. I did it more to keep. I just wanted to do something like that. I had an app years ago called Killer Tips Davinci Resolve, which was an iPhone app, and Android, actually. I was looking after your Android users.
We appreciate it.
It cost me thousands to develop that thing, I tell you. And it was doing okay, actually, but it needed a reskin. It didn't have an edit page, because when I set it up, it had edit page. It didn't have Fusion and Fairlight and all that. There wasn't a cut page. So the skin on it was a bit wonky, and it needed totally rewriting, which was going to be thousands. And actually the app, ironically, was kind of anti-YouTube. It was, in my head, I was like, it was just quick tips, and I basically there was hundreds of them.
Right.
And you basically had access to about 50, and if you wanted more, it was $9 or something. It was pennies, So a few people subscribed to the extra tips. There was about 300-400 in there in the end. And my theory was, if I can't write it in 3 sentences, it's taking too long to explain. So it's just power tips. And you could search, how to trim, and it would come up with this power tip. And in my head, I was like, why would you go on YouTube because I didn't use YouTube, really.
Yeah.
YouTube to me was, my washing machine broke once, so I went on YouTube and how do I fix this? And followed some guy, pulling socks out the back of a washing machine.
Right.
That was what I used YouTube for. So it was the opposite of YouTube. And I then thought, let's give YouTube a go. Why not? And I was looking at the content. I started searching DaVinci Resolve and realized that I thought there was a bit of a gap in the market for someone who's, I'm a colorist first. That's what I do. I'm a colorist. And obviously, I'm very proficient in the whole software, particularly the edit and cut page. But the color page is really my passion. And obviously, I've been teaching for years.
Yeah.
I thought, let's just do it. And it looked awful to start with, as you can all have a look at my early ones there. I had a Sony A7S II, no lights, a little rubbish USB mic thing that I probably had about 15 feet away from my, I'm definitely post, okay? I'm definitely no DP or sound engineer. That is 100%. And it's sort of slowly improved. But the take up was, I couldn't believe it. I got 1,000 in 3 weeks.
Jeez.
Which was just nuts. And I'm like, and then I started researching, is 1,000 good? And they're like, it should, a good channel can take 1 to 2 years to get 1,000.
Yeah. That took about a year and a half.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, this is great. So within less than 6 months, I had 10,000 already. So I'm like, okay, this is worth doing. So I set myself a goal of Christmas. So I started it in June. Set myself a goal of Christmas, like go for it, and just keep doing it, see what happens. And I didn't even say to myself, I have to have 10,000 by Christmas, because I think I was thinking in my head, maybe if I get 1,000 by Christmas, it's good.
Right.
And I think I was at 13,000 by Christmas. I can't remember the exact figures, but I'm like, okay, let's do it. So I could give it 6 proper months. If it's going somewhere, go for it, and if not, don't. So I'm sticking at it for a bit. I enjoy it. It's really hard work, because obviously I do have a lot of work. In fact, last year was probably my busiest year for work ever. Oh, nice. And I'm trying to shoehorn YouTube videos in. Yeah, and I moved house last year, and a few other things are going on in my world that were. You got to feed that beast, as you know. And,
yeah. Well,
So, I now hats off to everyone who does YouTube on a regular basis. I know personally how much graft that is, but I thoroughly enjoy it. It's really rewarding. I love giving away my knowledge. I'm hopefully giving something a little bit different than the other channels. It's just a nice little sideline to what I do here. I do spend too many Saturdays in here now, catching up on recording episodes, and I would love to get more out if I could, but I just can't. I have to see my kids.
It's a lot of work.
Actually, I work in the dark a lot.
Right. Yeah, me too. The fact that my lights are on right now is actually kind of strange, and it's mostly because I forgot to turn them off before the interview. But that's all right. I have a power grade for the studio with the lights off, and a power grade for the studio with the lights on, so I'm covered.
This is bright for me. This is ridiculous. Yeah.
What occurred to me when you were talking about your app, that kind of stuff, those little 3-sentence tips might be good content for YouTube Shorts. Have you considered maybe?
Yeah, I did one short. I don't get it. A bit. Well, the problem is my GUI is that way.
Right.
So it's really hard to show. So the only one I ever did was how to deliver portrait mode in Resolve.
Oh, there
that
you go.
works. That works for a short.
That works for sure.
But beyond that, Resolve is that way. It's not that way.
I've done one short, and it was like it was how to turn on what was it? How to turn on live save and project backups. And
so you can kind of stay in one little box, I guess.
You can. There was a little bit of moving around, but it was I had to basically what I needed to do was I needed to, zoom in and just do a lot of keyframing on the position and just move it around.
Yeah. So it ends up not being quick. It
ends up not
so much.
Right. The production took a lot longer than I thought. It was like, I'll put out a quick little 1 minute thing, and it took me 3 hours to make.
Yeah. I mean, I also I spend far too long on mine on the preparation. I mean, I don't script them. That's the last thing I want to do is script. It's me naturally talking.
Right.
But I do a lot of preparation to make sure that I'm delivering maximum. Every single frame should be giving you some more information. I don't want any air in there at all.
Right.
And I'm only really delivering what I think is good knowledge. It's not just how to export a video. Press here. It's like, why do you want that setting? What there's always I give you a reason why, and it's normally because I've experienced it. I'm doing it. I am using the product to client spec, not to my spec. So each client's different. They have different demands. Gives me different ideas. I use different tools all the time, and I literally I've got a book there. I'm just writing down in that book. And that book is just full of every time I think of a little. Oh, that'd be good YouTube. Stick it in there, and that is next. That's literally next to my grading suite permanently.
I have a very similar book
with a real pen. Not a whack-on pen. It's a. And it works for me, and they're all real world scenarios that I've come across, not just how to do something, which I can pretty much read in the manual. I'm trying to give a bit of theory behind it, and also, with all respect, I'm 53. I don't know if that has legs on YouTube. No, it's like I've quite clearly been doing it a long time. You ain't got to look at me. So it's I'm hoping that gives people, well, it'll either scare people off or it'll give them the confidence that I have been in the industry for, been in broadcast for well over 25 years. I couldn't say exactly how long, but.
Well, I mean, judging by, you've got one of the fastest growing Davinci Resolve channels that I've ever seen. And I think, the fact that you are basically all, color grading focused. And I think that the subject matter, the way you get your subject matter might have a lot to do with your growth as well, because it is real world situations. You get a lot of Davinci Resolve channels that teach you like, hey, I'm going to show you how to do this really cool effect, which is all well and good. But for people like you and people like, I guess me, who most of my Davinci Resolve tutorials are like, here's something that here's how to actually use the software to do, something that you would have to do on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I don't think that would ever not be valuable. And I think
I really think there's room for all these Davinci channels. And in fact,
100%.
Mr. Alex Tech you were very kind when I first started as well. Yeah. Mr. Alex Tech let me go on his channel. I'd only had 3,000 by then. I think he could clearly see that I knew stuff that was different to his approach, so we weren't clashing. But I don't think people, if I come along as a new YouTuber, you're not going to unsubscribe from Mr. Alex Tech, for example. It's like, or yourself. We can all absorb more channels.
Oh, yeah.
I'm actually getting a point now. I'm a year and a half into this. I now do stop. I mean, I watch millions of YouTube channels because I had 10 years of YouTube out.
Yeah.
Before I started, and I wasn't using YouTube. I'm like, whoa, there's Bitcoin. I can go down any road I want. I mean, what's annoying, I've just bought a new lens, okay? Just sideline a little bit, but I've just bought a literally brand new lens for this camera because I'm going to do a studio tour soon. So this is, I need a wider angle lens. This is my 35. And I'm on YouTube going like, which is best, the Tamron, the G Master, all this sort of stuff. I'm an A7S III guy. And you've got to buy the thing just to stop you obsessing on YouTube about it. I'm like, I'd rather just buy the product, just pick one, buy it, and then I don't have to watch another YouTube about that product, because you can spend weeks like, he says it's not too good in low light. You know, I'm like, oh Jesus, just buy the product.
I do though. Buying the product does not end the obsession for me. For whatever reason. Yeah, I buy it.
Look, I'm not shy on buying kit.
Well, no, but what I mean is, like, I'll buy something, like, take the Sony ZV-1, for instance. I watched a ton of videos about it before I decided to buy it, and then I bought it, and now I still watch a ton of videos about it, like, almost to justify my purchase decision. You know, I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Actually, I will backtrack, because now I am thinking of doing a vlog. I don't know. I'll let people comment on your video if you want to see me film. I don't know. I don't mind doing one vlog. I don't know where I'd go after that. I don't want to be Casey Neistat, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I bought this wide just so I can do I was kind of thinking of doing a day in the life of me, and I'm not sure how interesting that is to anyone else to see what. I think I haven't seen anyone do a day in the life of a colorist, which is actually a pretty sad life. Actually, you sit in the dark all day just doing this. I do have other activities that I do. So I did watch a YouTube video on all the camera settings on the A7S III, just trying to get used to it a little bit better. So you're right, it's a great resource, isn't it? But
yeah, I'm really
trying to wean myself off it a little bit, because it's your night's gone, isn't it? I mean, it's 11 o'clock before you know it, and it's like, right, it's bedtime.
It is. I can easily go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah,
it's bad. My typical scenario is I get the kids in bed. Well, I get the oldest in bed. I'm waiting for the baby to get ready to go into the crib. So he's with his mom, and I'll sit down in my office, and I'll watch a couple YouTube videos while I wait. But inevitably, by the time I get the word that it's time for me to pick him up and put him in the crib, I'm midway through a YouTube video, so I have to go back and finish it. Which then leads to the next one, and the next one, and the next one, because for some reason my phone is still on autoplay when it comes to YouTube. So it just keeps going and going. Next thing you know, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I should probably go to bed. I got to be up in 4 hours. Yeah,
well, I normally do it, about 11 o'clock, and then your face will come up. I'm like, okay, it's bedtime. I'm joking. I love your channel.
Yeah.
And in fact, your lives are amazing. I mean, I've done a few lives, and they are a complete car crash. I mean, full hands down, respect to you. How you get those lives so slick. You are truly the master of lives, I've got to say.
Oh, I appreciate that. I don't think yours are as bad as you think they are, though. I always have a good time.
There's always been a lot of messing about on mine.
Well, I mean, I have the fortunate situation of being able to, have all of my stuff set up the same way all the time. I never have to move anything. I just press a button and I'm good to go. When I was at a point where every time I wanted to go live, I had to move cables around and make sure the camera was set up a certain way and reset up the software and all that. It was a mess. My early live streams were it took a lot of money for different things to be able to set it up, so I just can press a button and go live, and that makes it so much easier.
You have to invest in it. I mean, it's for you, it's full time, I guess. Is it kind of full time? I mean, I know you do sort of freelance work on the side or whatever. I don't know, but it's for me, I'm still keeping that. I am a colorist first. I don't need to become a full time YouTuber. I don't know that I want to become a full time YouTuber, because I do love color grading. I love having my clients here. Right. I don't think that'll change as long as people are happy that I'm not going to post every week. And I think people have got used to the fact, if you get 2 a month, you're very lucky out of me.
That's fine. I mean, I mean, judging by the growth of your channel, I don't think people mind if you go a couple of weeks without posting.
Yeah, and I keep people updated in the community page. I look, I'm busy, and if I say I'm busy, I really mean I'm busy. And it's I took a week's holiday, literally a week or two ago. That was the first time I've been out of the country for 2 years. It's so it's not even like I'm taking a holiday. We're just busy. I mean, the amount of content that's being created at the minute is off the charts. It's there's plenty of work.
Right. Yeah. It seems like there's new stuff coming out like almost every day. Somebody's got to be doing that post work.
Yeah.
Somebody's.
No, there's a lot going on.
Has the success of your channel affected your business at all, either in a positive or negative way? Like, has it led to new clients or anything like that?
Yeah, I don't think it's done me any harm. I don't think it's really changed. Like, I've not suddenly picked up, extra broadcast work from it by any stretch. I've picked up a couple of corporate gigs. Someone phoned me up and said, so a company phoned me from Switzerland actually and said, "Oh, we really like your channel. Do you do color grading?" I'm like, well, yeah. It's like, that's what I do. I'm not a YouTuber waiting for the phone to ring. I can color grade. Let's go. So I did a couple of corporates with them, but people aren't phoning up because of that. Where I am getting work and a lot of inquiries is people want training. They want one-to-one training with me. I've actually had to slow it down a little bit because the color grading side is so busy and the production side is busy as well. So I've actually got a waiting list at the minute for people who want one-on-one training, and I really enjoyed doing that. I wish I could do a bit more of it, but I can't squeeze it in, and I want people to have quality time if they're doing it with me. So I guess on that side of it, I could probably half my color grading work and pick it up with training if I wanted to. But color grading is still my passion, really.
You're a colorist. That's you gotta feed that beast too.
Well, and even on the if I've got downtime, I've either got to get out of here, do a YouTube video, offer some training, but I've also still got to practice my skills. The software's changing all the time. The looks are changing all the time. You got HDR, all this sort of stuff that I have to play with and keep on top of my game. And that needs time. You can't just suddenly be great at doing HDR grading because you've got the kit.
Yeah, no, that's
you've got to push and pull and break stuff, and so when a client does come here, I'm confident in what I'm doing.
Yeah, no, I mean the practice is definitely it's been key for me, and I was kind of I actually felt, and I think this becomes kind of the plight of somebody who does this for YouTube full time, is you actually don't get a lot of time to just sit down and practice.
Although actually you sort of do, because I've just done quite a few on the open effects. I had a lot of requests, people going like, "Can you just do all the effects?" I'm like, God, it's like,
I think I got that same request once.
Well, it's quite good because then you start actually taking so I literally did one yesterday, the color stabilizer. I think it is, and I literally push. I mean, I've used it plenty of times before, but actually start pushing and pulling it to do a YouTube video. You kind of teaching yourself how to use it in a more extreme way, so you kind of got to break it. So it's kind of there's a kind of halfway house with the YouTube that, yes, I'm experimenting. It's just when you're doing stuff that really well and you're trying to deliver that as a tutorial, obviously I'm not learning anything new.
Right. That's true.
You really do need hours playing with stuff. You've got to, if people want to look, you've got to know where to go. And be used to your footage, So I know how Arri behaves. I know how Sony S-Log behaves. Would you believe it?
We were talking about the importance of continuing to practice your craft and making sure you set aside time to, actually learn the new tools and keep up with that. And it's kind of a good segue into actually talking about the art of color grading. But before we do that, I got one more question kind of about the business side of being a colorist. And it's more of like being a colorist versus being kind of a jack of all trades editor, because a lot of people now, especially in like the commercial world, and especially in the YouTube world, people are less interested in being a specialist in something like color or audio, and more interested in being more of a generalist. Is there room for a generalist in kind of the film and television and broadcast world? Like, the only place I can really see it fitting is maybe as an assistant running around doing little odd jobs for the specialists. But is that even a thing? Like, is there any room for a generalist editor?
It's quite an interesting point, actually. I think and there's sort of two sides to this. I mean, the sort of jack of all trades, if you like, the fact that you can do everything has been led by the software, really. I mean, when I was starting out, you didn't have access to audio and compositing and VFX and color grading and editing. There were separate bits of software that were very expensive.
Yeah.
Now, with the Premiere Suite and Resolve and whatever, you've got everything in front of you. I mean, you've got all that for free with Resolve, So
right.
I think, the fact that the tools are there allowing you to play with it and experiment with which areas you want to more specialize in is much more prevalent today, because you can.
Right.
And I think that is why we're seeing a lot of very multi-skilled editors who can do some good audio sweetening and are pretty good in compositing tools. I can bumble my way around After Effects, a little bit of Fusion, but to the extent that I'm still a colorist, so when I'm color grading, I can take out a fire extinguisher if I want to do it quickly. But if they want rainfall on a city street sort of thing, that's going straight to VFX,
Right.
So I think there is broadcast is a much more defined, a much more broader genre now as well, so depending on the level of broadcast that you're talking about, I think there is scope for people with multi-skills. But I think the traditional editors, your traditional offline storytellers type editors, your onliners who are specialist in what's going to fail a QC, what needs to be done to get a program through QC, dealing with interlace footage, titling, graphics, removing things, enhancing things. That's a skill that takes a time to develop, and I don't think you've got the time to develop being a good online or offline editor or colorist or audio dub mixer or whatever your craft is. Mm-hmm. And be good at all the other things in the same level. There's no way I could be the level of colorist that I am today and be great at Fusion, and I can be competent in it.
Right.
In fact, I'm a certified operator in Fusion. I would probably, I wouldn't pay me money to do a Fusion project for you, but I've got a piece of paper that says I can. But I don't use it every day, so I don't use it every month, to be honest. So I think, in the traditional broadcast role, I still think you've got to be getting those hours under your belt. There's still no shortcut for it. You've got to be, wanting to do that role. Do people really want to do everything? I like a bit of a mix-up. That's why I do training and color grading. The training kind of gets me out of the suite or gets me out of a dark environment.
Yeah.
But I want to be an audio mixer, and and I've done my own stuff. We've done some corporate stuff where I can get pretty much most of it done, but I still know where it needs to go to a specialist.
Right.
That specialist they're going to be quicker. They're going to be more up to date on the latest trends, and they're a specialist in their field for that very reason. So I'm still kind of on the traditional side that if you want to get your name out there in broadcast world, you're going to have to specialize down in at least one or two areas. Right. And understand the other tools, understand the workflows. That's important. I understand what an AAF to go to an audio mix is. I understand what it needs to contain. I understand what 48 kilohertz is. Do you know what I mean? But I'm not going to mix a 7.1 surround sound dubbing session.
Yeah. I'm sitting here thinking, like, I would almost imagine that the offline editor, the person who cuts the footage, for people who don't know what this is, but the person who actually cuts the footage and assembles the story, it's probably even more important for them to have a general understanding of the entire process, because oftentimes they're actually kind of doing a base audio mix, or even sometimes occasionally some like base color correction, just to
absolutely
kind of get it on. So like I would imagine that those people especially need kind of a good handle on the entire process.
But you say that, but first and foremost, I want them to be a good storyteller.
Yes.
And to be able
100%.
to be able to cut a music promo, or a feature. That's the skill. Once they finish their edit, I can always dissect that, and we can export a decent XML out of it if they've made a right hash of it. But a good editor should be able to give you a pretty neat timeline. You can you can generally tell a structured editor that it should look pretty decent.
Yes.
There are guidelines and rules that people generally follow.
You obviously are not acquainted with timeline Twitter, then.
No, I'm not, but I can only imagine. And I've seen some timelines. I mean, we get some shocking stuff come here.
People post
we deal
pictures.
With all sorts.
People post pictures of of their timelines for like a 10-minute YouTube video, and it's just, you can't make heads or tails out of it. It's just 80,000 different tracks, and yeah, it's crazy. But
yeah, no, you'd generally you'd have certain layers for sync sound, certain layers for effects and that sort of stuff, and so within a level, as long as the editor knows what's going on. But I want them to be able to craft the story and craft it quick and use the tools to get that story crafted to their advantage, as opposed to being super disciplined and knowing, okay, if it's gone out as mono instead of stereo, we can fix that. Audio dub can fix that. It's not a big deal as long as the story's good. But the neater they can make it, the better, And I normally have a conversation with the offline editor, hopefully before we start the grade, just to make sure that we're both in line, so that the conform goes as smoothly as possible. I mean, I've got a guideline sheet that I literally send out as well, but you can't beat a conversation on the phone. And I always say to them as well, if I don't care how many times you ring me, because I'd rather fix it before we get to the conform.
Right.
Don't be afraid to. Don't go like, oh, this is going to sound like a really stupid question. Just call me. Great. The fact you've called me with a stupid question means you care how it goes out.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. I guess more, but I guess the most important skill then is the communication between the departments.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, since we're diving into it a little bit, let's actually talk about the art of color grading now. Because I've watched your videos, and I've watched other color grading videos and videos from people who are, they do specialize in color grading, and they do, at least they call themselves colorists. I don't know if I've ever seen any of their work, but, whatever. They call themselves colorists, and they do these tutorials on color grading, and like they get these big gigantic node trees with just all kinds of stuff and these big complicated workflows, and and then I'll watch others where it's super simple. You got 5 nodes and you're done, and I know when I was first starting out, it was kind of hard to tell, like, well, what's the right way to do it? Because you always assume when you're first starting out that there's a right way to do it, it takes a while to realize, like, no, as long as your footage isn't falling apart and it looks the way you want it to look, you're good. But could you just, for the absolute beginner who's, just getting into maybe color grading their first YouTube video, kind of give us a baby's first color grading workflow.
Okay, well, that definitely, I won't go flying with 18. I mean, I've got a project literally open behind me. I think that's a 15 node tree.
Right.
But it doesn't, and that's a documentary. I can see at a glance, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, probably 8 of them are not being used. So just because I work off what's called a fixed node tree.
Right.
I think you need to know a little bit about what you're doing before you start working on fixed node trees. But this is to help you with speed and discipline, really, and being allowed to take whole scenes and adjust them in one button. So that's more advanced workflow. I think to start with, just, I presume we're talking about Davinci Resolve. Start off with 1, 2, or 3, just serial nodes, get your exposure right first, just get the shot looking good. It's potentially going to be in a log color space. Mm-hmm. So it's going to look milky and washed out. If you don't understand color management, or you're a little bit scared of color management, it's actually pretty straightforward. But you can do auto color management, but you can literally just take your offset, bring your level so it's in a sort of happy place, bring your lift, gamma, and gain. So lift being your sort of shadows, gain being your highlights. Just stretch those out a little bit. You're effectively putting a bit of contrast in it. That's going to get your image at a half decent level, bit of saturation in there probably. And I would say, beginner's baby steps, that's your great first node. I've done stuff like that. In fact, I dropped an episode yesterday that I literally do that, because the episode is not about color grading, it's about a specific effect. So you can see me literally do that process on the very first node, just to get it, because I didn't want to start talking about color space and all that stuff.
Right.
Color space is very important these days, and you shouldn't be afraid of it. You just need to understand enough to take your camera's color space into whatever your display color space is, which is here, for example, it would be Rec 709 Gamma 2.4, which sounds scary to some people. It just means HD color space. It's what my telly at home is expecting, is delivering.
Right.
Albeit, your TV might be a little bit bluer than mine, might be a bit warmer, a bit too contrasty. Doesn't matter. As long as it leaves here looking the best it can, it's then going to go out into the wide world, and it's going to look a bit dark on my dad's telly, and it's going to look a bit light on your telly. Doesn't matter.
Right.
It's got its. I always tell the client when they leave here, that's the best you're ever going to see it. It's never going to look like that again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So really watch it. So I think just get your exposure right first, get that looking good, and then start playing with the toys. So then you want to start. Do you want to go warmer? Do you want to go colder? Do you want to make your blacks a bit bluer and all those sort of looks? But get the thing looking good to start with. That's what's really important, and that's going to teach you, once you've got those steps right, that everything's balanced to start with, it's then easier to make scenes look coherent and consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because everything's you might have some stuff that's overexposed, some stuff that's underexposed. Get all that exposure just about in the right place, and then you can start playing with your looks on top. So that's kind of my baby steps. There's loads of good stuff on YouTube. It's a good place to go. Yeah. You'll get a feel for who you like and who you don't.
Yes, you will.
And
yes,
see what you're. But anyone who's starting you off with, a 21 note tree, that's like, just back off a little bit, particularly at the beginning stage. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. Like I say, my note tree before I've even started is 15 notes.
Right.
That's one of my note trees. I've got about 3 or 4 different fixed note trees I use. If it's very quick turnaround documentary stuff, I'm not going to need more than 6 notes.
Yeah.
Maybe 7 or 8 notes, but they're there just in case. Like I said, that one's got 15 nodes and I've only used 8. So it's that's kind of typical. Does that answer the question? So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And
I mean, the other thing, obviously, in an early stage, you need to, if you're starting color grading for clients, obviously practice on your own and get yourself confident. But the art of communication is a huge one. You've got to be communicating well. So it's not just about being a great colorist. You've got a client in here. You've got to be able to talk color.
Right. Yeah. No. Absolutely. And speaking of that, actually, because once you do get your exposure right and your white balance correct and all that stuff, and you're making it look like it should, if you're looking at it, in the real world, you start to move on to, like you said, the looks, and the more I guess creative aspect, for lack of better words. And how do you tell how far to push a look? And not like in a technical aspect, because obviously you don't want to push it so far that your footage falls apart. But
sure,
you watch something, you may watch a show on Netflix or Amazon, and you've got these really intense color grades. But then other things, they actually look more natural. So how do you kind of draw the line of how far to push the grade? How extreme do you make it?
Sure. I mean, it's normally a conversation between the director, the DP, or one of those, or both of those.
Right.
It's a combination of those elements. It's not my program to decide, hey, it's going to look like this, and I think it looks brilliant. It's not my show. It's the director's show, or it's the team's show.
Right.
I'll certainly throw out some ideas. I've got I don't have power grades of looks. I don't see the point of that. I know how to build looks very quick. So the first part of our session will literally be checking out some looks and then applying them across multiple scenes, just to check that I'm not digging myself a hole that I can't get out of. It might look great on the first scene, and 3 or 4 scenes later, this is going to be really tricky because of certain lighting, certain cameras they used. I don't know, but it's we've got to allow for all that sort of stuff. But really, I'm taking the director's call, or whoever's calling the shots, and communicating with them. And literally, when we start a session, I literally have, it's in my head, but the kind of a phrase book that I will present to them, just to say, here's how we talk in color. Some people don't know how to talk in color. It might be that we've done many sort of short films here where it's their first time. It's the first time they've been in a color grading suite. They don't know what to say necessarily.
Yeah.
In fact, I've got a big line that I tell all my clients when they walk in. It's like, if you don't like it, just say you don't like it. You don't have to give me a reason. I've been doing it long enough. I'm not going to go crying. It's really not a problem. If you don't like it, you don't have to justify it. Just say you don't like it. It's like, great, we'll start again. And I've done that before. I've not had many people say they don't like it, but sorry, my earpiece is falling out.
Sorry.
But you can say that. There's other phrases, just like split the difference. I did a Clinique commercial. We're talking about makeup foundation that had, I don't recall the exact number, but it's something like 30 different shades of brown. How do you want to describe 30 different shades of brown? Is it warmer, colder? It's a tricky one. Obviously, reference looks that they bring in to the studio.
Right.
So they can bring us something from a series that they're watching or a film. We can load that into the suite, analyze it, realize their expectations, check that they're not getting overexcited. There's plenty of great resources out there. So the Shot Deck is a fantastic resource for looking up film looks, and it tells you what stock it was shot on, what lenses was used. It's a great resource. Shot Deck, if you want to have you can kill an afternoon having a good look around that.
Yeah, Shot Deck is...
It's a really good result, and they're really high quality images, so they're great for bringing into Suite and just analysing. Was that where you were going with it?
Yeah. What if it is your project though? Like say a YouTube video, because so the scenario I'm thinking of.
I don't grade my YouTube videos.
Right.
I used to but before I had lights and realised actually, do you know what? And it's probably the worst colour grading I ever did, and it was colour grading me. And I look back at it now, and I'm bright orange. It's like, Jesus, I'm trying to show people how to colour grade here, and I can't colour grade a shot of myself because it was shot so bad because I'm not a DP.
Right, right.
I'm quite fortunate that a lot of the stuff we get here is shot really well. I mean, we get a hell of a lot of ARRI stuff coming in. We get a lot of really decent shots. So we just had a big red project it just looks great. And it looks even better once I've had a little play with it. But nothing goes out here looking worse, put it that way. Apart from my early YouTube videos. But I think I don't really do my own projects. If someone says to me, just do what you want on it. I mean, obviously the music videos, you've got a chance to actually really go for it. So I can bring I'm bringing to the table my look on it. Right. The one I did, I think I did one for the vaccines, and they kind of left me alone a little bit. They wanted I think the brief was, obviously it was a little bit sort of country and western sounding, so we wanted that nice warmth feel. But they kind of went, just have a play, go and just get a few looks going. So they're always fun. You can just have you can push it. In fact, no, the brief on that one was push it. I remember that now. And
nice.
So, really went for it. It was great. Just do something a little bit different, like we don't really crush blacks anymore. And there was a thing that was really going on 10, 15 years ago. Everyone wanted the blacks crushed because they thought that was what made it look filmic. Right. Because we didn't have amazing tools then. We didn't have, we didn't have the power of the systems that we've got now. It really was a case of making it look as contrasty as you can and whacking a load of saturation in it, and it looked great. It didn't look great. It just didn't look like DV.
Right. That's true.
So it is nice. The music videos you can generally have a good go at. We do a lot of repairing stuff as well, though. A lot of it is like, can you literally just save this? And I've had a few of those jobs in.
Nice.
And they're equally challenging. They're quite fun actually. You really, it's like, right, how much can I make this look a lot better? And you see when you see their faces light up, it's like it's saved at last.
Yeah, I do quite a bit of freelance audio projects like that, where I just get my hands on some horrendous audio, and they're like, "Can you fix it?" And then I send it back to them, and I think it still sounds like crap, but it's the best that I can get it, and I send it back, and they're like, "It's so amazing," and I'm like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And where we have to be really careful these days is that the lighting that's being used now. You've got these like super high blues, and you've really got to watch your gamma and keeping everything in control. That can go off the charts really quickly now.
Yeah.
So you've really got to. That's where your understanding your color management can really be advantageous, because there's quite a few little tricks in there that can really keep those fluorescents looking good.
Nice. Okay. Well, I know we are very quickly running out of time, so just one more question. I guess sort of 1.5 more questions. First is, what advice would you give to somebody? I know you kind of just fell into it, but hindsight is hopefully 2020. If you were starting again, like what advice would you give to somebody who is looking to become a colorist,
Sure.
a professional colorist?
I mean, there's a few avenues to say. I mean, firstly, there's never been a better time to get into this industry. There is more content being made now than ever before. You know, I mean, Apple, Disney, and Netflix and Amazon between them. I mean, the money that's going into new production, which is keeping the big boys happy. You know, and then
Right.
my little production companies, we're getting busier and busier because they can't necessarily take on all those other jobs that were around.
Right.
So, it really is a fantastic time to get into the industry. A lot of on-set stuff happening. So certainly going in, assisting and DIT. You can learn a lot about color management and cameras specifically, and on-set grading is a really good place to start. See if you can just be on set and just watch that happening. Obviously, download Resolve for free and start playing. Film school is obviously a great route. I know it's a sort of controversial because a lot of people think it's, are you really getting the best experience? I think a combination of the two doesn't hurt. I didn't go to film school, but I did study photography.
Right.
Albeit that's completely pretty irrelevant now. I just liked images. I was playing with images. Get in with post facilities. I know it's hard. But they are growing. There's more of them getting up there. Try and help out. Just shadow. I get a lot of requests here. I do have people come in. It's obviously difficult depending on the client. It's do they really want someone sat over their shoulders? But certainly in downtime, we could show them the project.
Right.
And I think if offer to, if you've got friends in a band, offer to grade their reel. Or grade their music promo. Do it with enough time. If they don't like it, they can always go and pay for it to be done somewhere else. But those are great ways to actually show off your skill and experiment. Because you can kind of push a music video, but it's still assistant, work your way up. There's no shortcut to this. There really is no shortcut, which goes back to the kind of jack of all trades thing. You need to learn where you want to be. DIT is a fantastic job opportunity. You're going to travel a lot. You're going to be on set. That's a skill in itself. That's a whole job. Do you want to be a colorist assistant? Do you want to be a colorist? Do you want to sit in the dark all day? It's, you don't get out much. So, and obviously, there are YouTube videos. I don't think you can learn how to be a colorist from watching YouTube. I think you can pick up techniques, and I think you can apply them and practice them. You're going to have to cut a reel somehow. Go to corporate companies, phone up corporate production companies, say, can I just come in? I'll just grade a few corporates for you. You need those skills. I think the hardest thing is that when you're beginning is you're normally dealing with lesser quality footage in general. So, the bigger you get, the better quality the footage you get. We get fantastically shot stuff coming off Arris and Reds. It looks amazing. And Sony's, I don't have to do a lot. It looks fantastic.
Nice.
But then we get the jobs where we've got to fix it, and I've still got to know how to balance that stuff up. So there's no shortcut. You've got to do your porridge. That's for sure. But there are ways in there. I think the opportunities are bigger and better. There's more choice of film schools now as well, and or even just short vocational courses. You've got to learn your codecs, learn your cameras. Don't get bogged down with HDR yet and all that sort of stuff. Just get into ground level what color grading is, what color management is, and use the free tools. This stuff was not around when I was, even when I was studying with digital vision. I had to go to their offices to play with the kit.
Right.
Which in London, I was living in Brighton. It's and they gave me a license, but I had no panel. I didn't have the room in my house for a panel. That's why I've got a studio now. Just I can't fit this kit in my home.
Yeah.
So
I understand that.
I'd love to be starting out now. I think it's a very exciting opportunity. I think, it's not going away. It's only getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's a demanding industry. The world of broadcast is not fun. those deadlines have to be met, and as the colorist, you're the end of the chain. You bar the online and the deliverables, but if the edit gets bumped and the edit's getting moved, there's normally the color grade might get a little bit of allowance, whereas the edit's just been allowed to squeeze all that lovely, luxurious color grading time you had, just gets pinched and pinched because the deadline's still here.
Yeah, that was life as an electrician. The drywallers could take as long as they want.
Yeah.
But the longer they took, the less time the electricians had to actually put up the lights.
Yeah. Well, the job that's on there at the minute was scheduled to be graded last September.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
And it got moved a few weeks and a few weeks and a few weeks and a few weeks, albeit we have finished it. I'm actually just archiving it off now.
Okay.
But that was only done middle of Jan. No, second week in Jan. So from September, so that got a 3-month delay. Albeit they didn't clip my time. They gave me a good amount of time. So that's actually that Amazon job I was talking about. So.
That is good. Well, Darren, I want to thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. I
really
learned a lot. I definitely learned a lot. And
I'm always learning, always learning. And that's the thing. Don't forget, I'm 53. I am still learning. Does not stop.
Absolutely. Where can people find you, my friend?
Well, I'm all over YouTube. Hopefully you're finding me on YouTube. I'm going to carry on doing that. So that's just Darren Mostyn, my name. Darren Mostyn. And Instagram a little bit. I tend to post my stills of my actual work. So YouTube's a bit more, how'd you do this and why'd you do that? Instagram is, you'll see actual examples of my work on there. I will get a new show reel out soon. There's a show reel on YouTube. It's 2 years old, maybe 2.5 years old now. Mm-hmm. But Instagram is @online creative post, one word. And I'm trying to get a bit more active on there. But yeah, YouTube and Instagram is probably the best bet. There's a Facebook page, Killer Tips Davinci Resolve, but that's kind of a Facebook page for my YouTube channel. So it's the same. It's the same thing.
Right. I tried doing that once. I'm horrible at Facebook. So.
And the website's just online-creative.com if you want to book me for grading or training, whatever. So, yeah.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, thank you so much. I know you got to get out to your next thing. And
I also just like to say thank you to you. So you were really kind to me when I was first starting out on my channel. I really, really enjoy watching your channel. When you were doing your lives regularly, I was there every week.
Yes, you were. And I appreciate
my week, I tell you. I just really, really enjoyed it. I really like you. I really like your style. I like your channel, and I know you're sort of trying a few little new avenues. I think they're pretty exciting. I think this is one of them, isn't it? Like doing these things.
Yeah,
so,
this is a brand new thing. This is episode 2. So
there you go. Great.
I think you came in still in the guinea pig phase. So.
Thanks for getting me in early. Yeah. All right, but good luck with it. Really nice chatting with you.
Thank you. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Look after yourself. Take care.
If you want to check out Darren's work, learn more about what he does, all of his links will be down below, so I highly suggest you check them out, give him a watch, give him a like, give him a subscribe. Creative Minds will be back next month with an interview that I am super excited about, so make sure you're subscribed and have that bell rung so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching.